All right. The impressive, the ever-friendly, ever-hardworking Sheriff Hardwick, you are here in studio. We got questions.
You are way too kind to me. My goodness. I thank you for having me on this morning, and I always enjoy this show, and your listeners are just phenomenal. I love the comments, of course. And
They are awesome.
The other day, I did take some personal comments after the show while I was off last time, but most of you have my cell phone, so of course, reach out to me. But exciting times in St. Johns County. A lot going on.
You've got a lot of operations we're hearing about.
We do. And, one thing about this, and I answered somebody in the media yesterday, they're like, well, you do these operations, and then what do you do for the next year before you do it again? Well, these are ongoing operations. These just happen to be, we get our partnerships together, of course, with our federal, state, and local other agencies, and we do these big operations where we try to really target and, of course, be more successful, of course, with, of course, quantity comes quality, and that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, we had a great summertime with Operation Poppin' John's. We have a phenomenal, what we call a special investigations unit. It's our narcotics, it's our prostitution, kind of works those specialized crimes in there. And it's led by Lieutenant James, of course, under Commander Kevin Cronin and Director Skip Cole. They just do a phenomenal job. I hate to use this word, and don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like, drugs are at the root of most evil.
Yeah.
And you can say it's prescription pills, legal, prescription, it's all the above. So again, we targeted over the summertime, had a very, very successful operation with over 30 arrests.
Yeah.
My wife and I were out there in one of the rooms, of course, watching on the surveillance, and we were part of some of the takedowns too as well. And it's just, again, you look at the suspects in this, and it's not like this cookie cutter person of he or she looks like.
Yeah.
It is literally all over the map.
Yeah.
But again, it also involves illicit drugs. And out of this, we got 2 human trafficking cases.
Oh, wow.
One was a kid under the age of 18, and she was being human trafficked, and she actually was brought down here for sex. She had, and I'm just going to use this term because you know what it means, but she has basically like a pimp or a John in the car that's actually working her, kind of oversight, and he's making the money in this particular case, and she was being worked out of Georgia. So out of all the success in that case, yes, we did catch some people, of course, and mostly people that are selling their body for money, of course, but the biggest thing is that one case of hopefully saving that one little girl's life and the other girls that work with her. So that was Poppin' John's over the summertime. And then we had a great press conference the other day, of course, with our great partner agencies in St. Johns County. So during the month of September, back to back, we worked 2 operations. One, of course, was, Operation Safe Passage.
Yep.
And then the second operation was actually targeting our sex offenders, our registered sex offenders, which in St. Johns County, this is all public record. There's 249 of them here. So we targeted them basically. And I use the word target going, hey, you have stipulations. And this isn't the sheriff putting these in place. This is them going to court, being held accountable by the court system, their society, and then they're sentenced to XYZ, whether they're a sex predator, sex offender. They have laws to follow once they are for the rest of their lives, some of them, or while they're on probation. So again, our incredible team worked on them, and all 249 were actually checked. And then we made, it ended up being a total of 36 warrant affidavits and some additional 19. So really the numbers kind of convoluted a little bit, but again, not that bad out of 249.
Yeah.
So it was great. And then the other operation, of course, we did, which was the Safe Passage, which of course was the one we targeted our online sex predators that are trying to target our children. We have a phenomenal group of people that work in our internet crimes against children under the leadership of Lieutenant Collins and Commander Bill Worley and Sergeant Chris Mobley. Their incredible team did a great job, of course, using all these other people that work in our agency and our partner agencies to basically make up a persona of a child online, and they target people that are looking for children. This is in that deep, dark web. I wish I could tell you like where they're finding them at, but there's so many fingers attached to the deep, dark web, especially when you're looking for a 14-year-old child to have sex with. So again, Ken and I were on the surveillance teams and takedown teams of some of those suspects. If you look at, of course, our online, it doesn't discriminate. It's every race, creed, color, religion, sexual orientation, age. I mean, so if you're looking for this cookie cutter person that's your neighbor that looks like a creeper, those aren't the ones we're kind of looking for. If you look at our website and look at our social media platform, it is physically all over the map. So again, just holding people accountable for their crimes. But we receive a lot of tips from what they call NetMec. NetMec is the National Center for Exploited and Missing Children. That is a 501c3 not-for-profit out of Alexandria, Virginia, I believe, or outside of D.C. It's a bunch of volunteers, and they basically watch the internet for all these algorithms and keywords and searches and stuff. And then once they actually get the tip, they do a little bit of homework for us, and they send the tip to us based on the URL or where they think the actual tip is coming from. Not the tip, I'm sorry, the actual information the suspect is coming from.
Yeah.
Our unit picks up that tip, and then we work it, of course. So We're in the hundreds this year. It continues to increase. Technology makes it more difficult, but these operations were a great partnership with our brothers and sisters and our joining agencies and the state attorney's office.
So your social media platform, you have done an excellent job of getting this information out. I think just talking production value, I mean, some of those videos that you put out recently are amazing. They look awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any really memorable busts, any particular moments when you're arresting someone where it kind of goes sideways or sticks in the memory?
Yeah, one thing, people will kind of say, why do we have so many resources out there? And the goal is for everybody to go home safely, including the suspect. We're not there to hurt or injure anybody or definitely not kill anybody. So, again, we have a lot of control measures in place in case the suspect decides to run, because these are serious crimes.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, they probably get more time in prison out of, offenses committed against children, like these cases we're talking about, than majority of the cases that are out there. So, again, people running their cars. I mean, again, this is, they're going to look at prison time. And these cases are pretty much locked solid by the time we actually present them to the court. So we had one, we were at a local hotel, of course, off of State Road 16, which just happened to be the meeting point. And there was a restaurant there, of course, that was closed. It was late at nighttime, and the suspect came out of Daytona. It's so sketchy because, they're lying online to get a 14-year-old. They know what the actual outcome is going to be if they're caught, but yet they're willing to risk everything. But then again, the information they're giving you online, whether it's the car they're driving or what they look like, there's so many different ways, as you know, nowadays with AI, which we'll talk about here later, but there's so many different ways that you can be who you want to be online on these platforms. So we're physically looking for a needle in a haystack when someone pulls up. So we're in a surveillance vehicle, my wife and I and Lieutenant James and our PIO, Taylor Levesque. And we were actually in a parking lot. You could never see us there, but cars are coming in. We won't tell you what they were doing, but one car comes in, they do their thing over here next to us. We're like, okay, that ain't it. I mean, but again, this is the biggest thing, is to keep people safe. So during this operation, we have vehicles and sometimes people in the bushes hiding. In this particular case, people were in the bushes hiding that work for us. And we decided, because of his actions, when he got out of the vehicle looking for the 14-year-old girl that he thought he was hooking up with, we decided to go ahead, our tactical team, and roll a flashbang. So we rolled a flashbang as a distraction technique. And when my wife and I got out of our vehicle to get up there, this poor guy was in a vehicle from a construction company sleeping. And he's like, I couldn't afford a hotel and I only got a few hours, so I crashed out here. He literally was in the back seat. And I mean, he just was like, his eyes were, here's guys with, with all this tack gear on, getting out, a guy on the ground, a flashbang goes off. So just, I say it's good times, but we're putting bad people in jail is the ultimate, goal. So, but our men and women at the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office are just simply amazing.
Yeah. I think you mentioned, Blake.
Yeah, sorry. I do want to ask you about one case in particular, because I know, like, a lot of, like, the mainstream, because a lot of, like, the Jacksonville news stations report on the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office employee as well. But I do want to ask you a question about one case in particular. There was a illicit Navy sailor that was a part of this thing as well. But so as someone who used to be part of the military as well, which Army as well, what was your thought process like hearing someone that signed up for our military, that's supposed to defend our rights as U.S. citizens, but committing these heinous actions? Like hearing that, what's your thoughts about that?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the other day, someone called me and said, it seemed like you target the United States Navy. No, we don't. It just happens to be we're in a county that actually where a lot of Navy families live. There's not an Army base close by. There's not really a Marine Corps base close by. And there's not an Air Force base, a big one close by. If we were up near Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and in Fayetteville, North Carolina, the city next to it, we would have the same thing where no Navy people are getting arrested. So that's my first offense. And first of all, Blake, we have a lot of people serve our country, and they're no different than me and you, just like that wear this uniform too. Unfortunately, as your sheriff, we've had to put a few deputy sheriffs in cuffs. As you know, a few of them are currently serving prison sentences for looking at CSAM. But anyway, or child sexual
one was my
images.
neighbor.
Oh my goodness gracious. But anyway, so I look at that and I say, really, if you think about it, in the operation, we had one Navy, sailor out of there. He's human just like us. They're going to commit crimes just like the rest of our society does. The JSO person is the same way. He was on probation. I think he was just recently been hired by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And, TK Waters is a brother of mine. He's a close friend, and he's not going to tolerate that garbage like I am too as well. But I think, with mass numbers and operations going on like this, it doesn't discriminate. And I think, we've seen people that wear the cloth, that are religious, preachers out there that have been caught. We've seen police officers like me. We've seen sheriffs like me chiefs of police,
Yeah.
a SAR major, as you know, the other day we arrested a retired SAR major for basically sex, exploitation of a girl that he was seeing and stuff. So again, Blake, it doesn't discriminate. So it doesn't alarm me, but I do tell my community that it's not just the Navy. You just happen to live in a Navy community. I guarantee on every other base around the country and the world, we catch that branch of the service that is in that area. So I hate it. You raise your right hand to, defend and protect the Constitution of the United States. But also, too, you're a human being, too, as well.
Yeah. All right. Back with Sheriff. So we just talked about bail bonds. I know it's a lot.
My God, I'm exhausted.
It's a lot. So we just talked about bail bonds, which got me thinking about the jail. It's October. Are we having the haunted jail again?
All right. So unfortunately, we are actually, the county is giving us, I say us, the county is actually going to stick some money into renovating the St. Johns County Jail. Yeah. So we are shut down for operations for haunted jail this year. So they're going to repurpose the old jail. Of course, there's a lot of history there in 1964 with Martin Luther King Jr. and of course some rabbis from the Jewish community back then. So a lot of history there. So they're going to go in and basically gut it down to the concrete walls. And I'm hearing it's kind of mixed a little bit, but St. Johns County MIS, Wiley T-Bolt and his crew are going to go up to the top floor, and then you'll have some of our people sprinkled on the bottom floor there. So again, it is getting ready for construction, and it's going through basically engineering right now, so an architecture review. So we cannot touch that jail. So I know. Listen, my employees have been the worst ones about that, and honestly, probably it was the safest haunted anything in the state of Florida, probably better than Disney. But so this year we're just going to go stick to. You'll see us advertising for Trunk or Treat, which is going to be through our Police Athletic League with Executive Director Sean Tyson and his crew with PAL. So we'll put that out on social media platforms, and we are sorry. So again, my staff was upset about it, but just I just can't get in the jail this year because of course, renovations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, did you just hear about Disney?
No.
Someone passed away on the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney.
How's that possible?
So, well, I think a heart attack. I don't know. So your jail actually was safer than Disney.
I have to, and this is to take nothing away from the death of anybody at any time. But, life is so unpredictable, and people have their own internal ailments that not everybody knows. But I'm not saying it's this case, but I've seen some other cases across the country where a person goes on a ride and passes away. And next thing you know, it's like, why is the ride still going? They need to shut it down. Person died in there. It's not a murder. People have internal things inside. That's what autopsies are for. And my heart goes out to the family, but also, too, as well. It's like, there's all these warning signs and stuff when you get on these rides. And I think even I'm not saying anything. This is not probably a good case to talk about. But again, we work a lot of death investigations that are very unique in nature. Yes, the suicides are very easy to solve. I get it. I understand it. But there's also some deaths that we work, because we do work all deaths in St. Johns County. And there's some interesting deaths we get there. But sometimes it's not at the fault of the thing you're doing. It's because your body and God has called you home.
Yeah,
I mean, so again, it's out my family, but it could happen just like in our haunted house. Yeah. Next, we're on the national media source. So, yeah. Disney,
it did seem like it was natural causes. It was it sounds like a heart attack.
Speaking of Disney,
man, I love Disney.
My wife and I dove Disney Dive Quest last Saturday.
Yeah,
Sunday. Yeah.
Okay.
Saturday. Sorry. Yeah. So we drove down, and we're both scuba divers. And it's 25 feet of water. There was no wind. There was no weather. It was raining outside. And we dove Disney's Dive Quest at 4:30 on, I think it was Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. It was amazing.
Saturday night dive, huh?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful. There's a 8-foot or 9-foot hammerhead in there, and she's partially blind, so she kind of swims on her side. But it was a beautiful 42-minute dive in 77-degree water, and Kendall killed it. She rocked it. So yeah, super excited.
Is that at Epcot?
It's at Epcot in the living seats.
Okay, some of the Marineland animals were there.
I just heard that, by the way.
Yeah, I helped to move some of the.
Did you really?
Yeah, I helped to move some of the animals out of the rectangular oceanarium.
Was it a turtle?
There's a couple of turtles there. Yeah.
Somebody said that, by the way. They came from St. Augustine. I was thinking offshore.
No, it came from Marineland, because when they tore down the rectangular oceanarium, they had to rehome the animals. Yeah. And so officially, it's on a loan for when the habitats get rebuilt, but who knows what's going to happen with that.
I was reading it this morning in the paper. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the Marineland animals were there. I got to participate in the animal physicals when we got them prepped to move, and then help carry them. They're so heavy. Those turtles.
I honestly think,
heavy.
and people are gonna think I'm crazy. It's like the other day, someone asked me, "It's like, hey, Sheriff, if there's a song by Luke Combs called Doing This, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?"
Yeah.
I said, if I had an option, I said, first of all, I would have been the military. Special operations was my calling, but of course, my wife was my first calling. But anyways, with that being said, I could go into that world. I could scuba dive every day in probably that same tank. Like I was talking to the dive master. His name was Joe, a young guy, good-looking kid. I said, how many dives you got? Oh, God, thousands in this tank. I'm like, do you get sick of it? He goes, never. it was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I mean,
I lost track of the number of dive hours I had
listen
at
to you.
Marineland because
I love it.
I'm excellent at air conservation, so I can dive for a long
So
time.
is Kendall and my oldest son.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that means I get to scrub a lot, though.
Yeah, I was going to say you're there longer than everybody else.
When you're
See, I'm
diving
smart,
with
like,
the dolphins.
I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're diving with the dolphins and you're scrubbing habitats, that's what you're doing. And the dolphins are looking at you through the gate like, why does this even matter? It doesn't, but we're here.
Yeah, I didn't know you were, okay,
Yeah,
good.
it was
Awesome.
fun times. All right. Yes. Oh, what do we have? What is going on with? Oh, we've got immigration is a big hot topic. So let's talk about immigration.
So I would just get a lot of questions about, it's really quiet with this immigration. No, it's not quiet. It just happens to be other things in the media are kind of just overriding it. We in the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, yes, I led a press conference on behalf of the 67 sheriffs with our governor and Deputy Director Sheehan, who works directly for the director, of course, of ICE. And Christy Nome. And, yes, the reason why I was there is because we in St. Johns County, we're not doing anything different besides we're just aggressive deputy sheriffs. And I have the privilege of being able to put, 6 deputy sheriffs that work primarily 95, of course, in the entry exits on there. And unfortunately, with quantity, traffic stops, comes quality. And you can define that how you want to. We seized almost $200,000 in cash just a couple weeks ago. DEA assisted us with that, which we'll get a lot of that back into, of course, our funds for the county here over the next year or so. But also, too, out there, we're finding, vehicles with hidden compartments that would transport narcotics or human trafficking. So, our task force guys and girls out there, and we have a full-time canine out there, Draco, with Matt Moreo, who is just assigned to 95. He's a single-purpose narcotics, Malinois, beautiful dog. But we're just trying to really target that people that are driving through our jurisdiction on 95, with not just immigration. Human trafficking is part of immigration, but also too narcotics and guns and stuff like that. So immigration is we're still doing it, but we've been doing it under the last administration, and now we're just doing it on steroids under the current administration. But we know how to do it right in St. Johns County. I have over 60 DIOs, designated immigration officers. They can do independent investigations. And then, like I said, unfortunately, when you do a lot of traffic stops, you're going to get people that are here illegally. So here's one thing I'll kind of close this conversation. You're more than welcome to ask any questions. But, if you're driving a car on a public road or highway in the state of Florida, in St. Johns County, and you don't have a legal, lawful license, we got to hold you accountable. But the other thing, too, is if you don't have that and you can't prove your identity and we can't figure out who you are, you got to go to my jail so I can roll your fingerprints, take your photos, document your tattoos, and God forbid you're a suspect in a crime somewhere. Now you're in the system. I don't care if you bond out or not, I'll be honest with you. But if the immigration system wants you after that, then you got to answer for your immigration, court orders. I mean, that's beyond my control. So it's going great in St. Johns County. We don't really, there's no need to advertise it because we've been doing it since I've been the sheriff here. Again, it's just the current president of the United States who supports our mission. I'm very close, most with our chief of staff, Susie Wiles, who's the chief of staff to the president of the United States. Her and I, she's very accessible. I talk to her not on a regular basis, but probably once a week or every couple of weeks. So again, just a great partnership. And with that, we're getting money in return to, offset the payment and overtime of our deputy sheriffs.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
and real quick about traffic stops as well. Like so speaking about traffic stops, I believe like a month ago I believe like 1 or 2 months ago we seen a report about the new super speeder law. Can you talk about that real quick and like what have you seen like after the law was passed I believe like July 1st I believe this year.
Yeah, so actually I got my own super speeder. Actually, I got them on 95. But the super speeder law basically is holding people accountable for going 10 miles over the speed limit is one thing, but going 20, 30, 40 miles over the speed limit, now you got to hold people accountable and say, okay, that's a criminal traffic offense where it's arrestable. So we have made a few arrests here in St. Johns County. Our undercover cars are on 95. I mean, we do have unmarked cars. Actually, they're all unmarked, but they're also ghost prints, so you can see the markings on the side. So that new super speeder law again is, I mean, these are the people that when Governor Santos signed that into law, and legislators both on the actual House side and the Senate side, we're trying to hold people accountable for that aggressive driving on the interstates, especially or anywhere where you drive in excessive speeds. So again, now it's actually a crime, arrestable offense. We have made a few arrests. I did do a traffic stop on 95 of a pickup truck that had just got on the interstate from IGP. I'm on 95 quite a bit, actually, just trying to go ahead and just lead by example, lead from the front, and, of course, and back our deputies up. But again, so, yeah, we've made a few arrests. The word's getting out about St. Johns County on the social media platforms about, you better slow down or you better drive around the county kind of thing, which is what we wanted to. We're just trying to save lives. So again, that law is in effect. We have enforced it here. I don't know what the exact numbers are, Blake, but I know we've definitely wrote quite a few tickets and taken a few to jail for that crime.
Okay.
We've had a couple of questions about a crash recently on Old Moultrie and Lewis Point.
Okay.
I do believe this was a DUI crash. I do believe there was
death, right?
A death involved.
Yeah.
It was a fatal crash.
I want to say there was a Jaguars game or something tied to that. Was it the first Jaguars game of the season where
I think it was August, so
something
maybe.
like that. It was like a pregame or something like that. Yep.
So are there any updates on where that investigation is, why arrests haven't taken place?
Yeah, so first of all, that investigation was actually handed over to FHP. And just to explain that, not to get off topic real quick, we don't hand everything over to FHP. So sometimes, even on 95, yes, it's my jurisdiction, but FHP, again, if they're available, we try to use that resource because it's very labor intensive. And I do have my own traffic homicide investigators. So on 95, let's just a quick example, and I'll go back to this one here in particular, is we have a traffic crash on 95. You all know we've had quite a few out there that involve death. If FHP is available, they work the crash, which is really what I want because, again, labor intensive, and it's on an interstate. But we can work those crashes just as well. Well, on a state road or highway, FHP, and involves death or serious bodily injury, we try to use FHP as much as possible because I only have a handful of traffic homicide investigators. They have a troop, basically. I don't know how many they have in the area, but Jacksonville troop, DeLand troop have a decent size. So this particular case, we work the initial crash. And once FHP shows up on scene, they take over the investigation, and they don't really stay in contact with us saying, hey, Sheriff, we're going to make an arrest, or hey, Sheriff, we got charges coming. But again, so the last I heard was, of course, they always wait back for toxicology on the deceased and also toxicology on, of course, the suspect driver or the other driver that's alive in this particular situation. So if I'm not mistaken, if I got my facts here right, she was transported with some significant injuries too as well. The person that lived, and of course the other person is deceased. So again, it's in the process of FHP. I mean, I probably could call and get an answer, but it's not as easy as you think. They don't normally stay in contact with us unless it's something out of the ordinary involving my deputies.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right, moving into, we've talked about open carry and how the laws are changing with that. And the last time you were here,
yes, ma'am.
Well, Publix just made a big announcement that they're going to allow open carry in their grocery stores. How do you feel about that?
You know, my feeling is this, and I think you all know I'm a big, I believe in your right to bear arms. I always have been. I'm a U.S. soldier. I'm a police officer. I have the American flag tattooed on my bicep. I believe in the right to bear arms. I have a lot of firearms in my house. And a very, very large, thick safe. But anyways, with that being said, this law for me didn't alarm me. Matter of fact, it was alarming for me to find out that 46 of the 50 states already had some type of open carry basically out there already.
Yeah.
So we were last of the Mohicans with New York and D.C. and I think Illinois or Indiana and some other crazy state.
We are almost never grouped with
I have to agree with you. It was when they put our name in that state. I was with the lieutenant governor at the time. I'm very close with Jay Collins. And we were looking at that. I'm like, whoa, we got some stuff to repair. But so I honestly thought, when September 25th came, I thought we would be challenged in this jurisdiction. But our community is so good. I'm going to be honest with you. And the more I talk to people, the more people understand that you would rather stay concealed because you don't want to be a target of an active shooter in a place. Because I feel like, and I'm going to stick by this, why do cops get shot at? They know we're armed.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you go into a Publix and here you are, displaying your, Glock 19 or Glock 17 on your hip with all your magazines, if someone with that mental capacity comes in there and sees you and decides to be an active shooter, I would imagine you're going to be the first one taken out. So it's not alarming to me. I talked to several managers here in Publix. They still have the right, of course. People forget too, you can't go in there and be reckless. If you're walking through a store and it's just on your hip and you're pushing a grocery cart, who cares?
Yeah.
But if you go in there and you're acting bizarre, you show bizarre behavior with your firearm, you're recklessly displaying your firearm, then there's still a Florida State statute out there. So I haven't really taken a stance on this. We have not had one person in St. Johns County test us or try us. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for respecting us. But more importantly, thank you for respecting the U.S. Constitution, the United States of America, that you have the right to openly carry. But I honestly thought we'd see some more challenging times, but my other fellow sheriffs across the United States were like, it was new for the first couple months and we got tested and then it kind of went away. I treat everybody like they're armed. The way before this law was changed. I mean, every time I do a traffic stop, You know, I ask if you're armed and they say they're armed. I said, okay, I don't care. Just don't touch it because the gun doesn't kill me. Your finger on the trigger kills me.
For sure.
So again, I'm not really concerned about it. Again, it hasn't been tested, us here in St. Johns County. And here's how this works, by the way, so people understand this too. So you go into Publix and you act like an idiot and you have a firearm on you that's open carry. Publix management calls St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. My deputy sheriff shows up, and this is exactly how it's going to go down. The management says, hey, Amanda's in here. She's got a firearm. She took it out. She put it back in. She took it out. She put it back in. That's reckless to me. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You know? And again, this is not a real example. This is me in my head. And then our deputy sheriff show up and go, hey, Amanda, what are you doing? You know, nothing. I just took my firearm out to look at the barrel for a minute. Who knows?
It's my favorite fidget.
Yeah. Well, so it's not about the firearm anymore.
Yeah.
Now the Publix management, which is the owner agent, Publix management can say, I want Amanda out of our store. You know, she's acting bizarre today. It's no different than we did 2 years ago with Amanda acting bizarre unarmed. It's the same situation. Now you're trespassing. You don't leave the store, you're trespassing after warning. Now we can take you to jail for trespass after warning. But again, our citizens in St. Johns County, we just don't have a lot of these problems because they respect us, but more importantly, they respect each other.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, no issue so far.
So we've talked a bit about traffic stops, and what I typically see on the footage of traffic stops gone wrong, usually it's people thinking that they know the law better than the police officer and sitting there and arguing. Would you have any words of wisdom? I saw someone in the comments mention like sovereign citizen route. Would you have any comments about etiquette with how should we as civilians interact with your officers in the course of that whole process?
So let me give you a quick example. So last year, my wife and I were heading up to Jacksonville to finish some Christmas shopping for, you know, our families. And we were in her vehicle, which is just an SUV, you know, and we were in the, everybody knows what the quick lane is, or the HOV lane is up in Jacksonville, the express lane, sorry. So I'm in the express lane, I'm driving, it's raining like today, and the trooper gets behind me, I switch lanes, he switched lanes with me, I'm like, okay, it's me.
Yeah.
He pulls me over, legal traffic stop. I felt bad. I always feel bad if I get pulled over of jeopardizing their safety. Anyways, he comes up to my window. He's got his trooper hat on with the umbrella thing over his head. I'm talking about the little cover of his hat on.
Yeah.
He leans in and I said, Trooper, I am so sorry that I made you, you know, come out in this rain. He's like, no problem. Pulled you over excessive speed. I said, yes, sir. A license, registration, proof of insurance. Got it. Pulled it, gave it to him. And then he walked back and I said, I am armed. And he said, okay, it sounds good. Just don't touch it. No problem. Goes back to his car. I'm watching my mirror. I'm like, oh God, he's going to write me a ticket. It's okay. It's my fault. I'm not a sheriff. I'm a citizen. So anyways, he comes back up and he goes, hey, why didn't you tell me you're the sheriff of St. Johns County? I said, because I'm not the sheriff of St. Johns County. I am a citizen with my wife going Christmas shopping, drinking coffee, listening to stupid Christmas music. And he said, but Sheriff, you're so good to us. He said, I said, just write me a ticket. And my wife could just write him a ticket. But the reason why I say that is, first of all, I'm not that guy. I'm not your sheriff that says, I'm the sheriff of St. Johns County. Don't give me a ticket.
Yeah.
I am a human just like you are. So here's what I tell you, first of all. The biggest thing is pull us over you got to pull over in a safe place. So if we're behind you, we light you up. We're looking for a safe place too as well. Sometimes we are at fault for picking the wrong spot to light you up per se. So we try to look for a proper spot where it gives you a chance to pull in like a gas station, or if you can't, like 95, you get off the road in the grass, and that keeps you safe just as much as it keeps us safe. We're big fans of course, just put your hands in the air, but just put your hands on the steering wheel where we walk up to the window and show them, or the door and show them. I always tell people, because I believe everybody in Florida is armed nowadays, but anyways, just go up there and say, just so you know, sir, I'm armed. You know, you used to have to say, I got a concealed weapons permit. You don't anymore. Say I'm armed and it's in my center console. It's next to there. It's on my hip, whatever you decide to do. And then again, listen to the officer, the deputy. We kind of get into a routine. We kind of say, this is how it should go down. I'm Rob Hardwick, St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. The reason why I stopped you is for excessive speed. Any legal reason why you're going so fast? Legal reason, they're like, not legal, but I got another reason.
Yeah.
Can I see your license, registration? Sometimes we don't ask for registrations anymore because now everything is so is online, so we can see it all. But we also sometimes say, hey, do you have proof of everything's on your phone nowadays? So it's like, hey, can you show what you get proof? But sometimes we can see that too as well. And then I tell you this, it's not the time to argue. The time to argue is in a courtroom, and that's why you have the three options. Are you pay it, traffic school, or go ahead and contest it.
Okay.
So again, that I would just I tell my son, I was like, hey, if you ever get my two boys, if you ever get pulled over, just take it on the chin. Now's not the time to argue.
Yeah.
But if they ask you a question of like, hi, why are you going fast? Yeah, I'm sorry. And this is what I hear a lot is, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I apologize. I'm a big fan of, you're honest, I'm honest, cut your break, have a good day.
Yeah. All right. So let's say concealed carry, let's say it's on the hip, that's next or in my purse, which I would never put it in my purse. I'd keep it on my body.
You're never going to make it to your purse in a shooting. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. So if it's in my purse, and that is also where my license and registration is, how do I handle that with a police officer?
Yeah, super simple. You know, just say, hey, officer, you know, I have a weapon in my purse. And he'll say, that's fine. Go ahead and get your license and in your registration, or get your license out of your purse. And if you don't mind, just leave your firearm in there. It happened to me the other day. I pulled a lady over. She said she had her wallet in her backpack, and she said she had a firearm in her backpack. And of course, it's a conversation piece because I'm a firearm guy. I said, what kind of firearm you have in there? And she's like, I got a revolver or the snub nose. I'm like, my God, girl. But anyway, so just simply tell the officer or deputy sheriff and say, hey, just so you know, I got a firearm. It's in my purse. I'm going to go ahead and get it. No problem at all. And most of the time we just watch you get it open. You're on body cam now anyways. You open it up, you get your purse out. You know, we see your firearm. Say, just put your purse back in the seat. Firearms don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have these 2 tickets to give away. So what I would like is for you guys to, let's see, put your favorite number in the comments. Put your favorite number in the comments, and then after we do the comments report, Sheriff Hardwick is going to pick a number. Let's see, favorite number between 1 and 25. So favorite number between 1 and 25, you'll pick a number. Whoever's closest gets the breakfast tickets for the Kiwanis Applebee's Breakfast Fundraiser on October 25th. That's 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Anastasia could not go, so she wanted us to find a new home for these tickets for someone that could actually attend.
Anastasia.
So,
this will take 2 seconds, by the way.
Okay, yes. Go ahead and do Fight Night, and then we'll do the comments.
Okay, real quick. Hey, so Fight Night, we're back at it again. Of course, St. Johns County Sheriff's Office versus our Fire and Rescue brothers and sisters. We've already kind of tentatively picking the date, not releasing it right now, but it'll be in February again. Partnered up with the amazing crew with the Gay Pellissier and the AMP over there. It's going to be bigger and better than last year. I think we sold around almost 3,000 tickets. And this year, they're going to open the upper deck for us to sell additional tickets. We are going to go up in price just a little bit because all the money went back, of course, to Kendall's Diamond and Dreams. Awesome. This year, we're going to split the money. Half is going to Kendall's Diamond and Dreams and Special Needs Project, and the other half is going to St. Johns County Special Olympics Torch Run to Corporal Mel Lewis and his crew and his beautiful daughter, of course, as we go down that road. So Fight Night's coming out. Pay attention. Buy your tickets online. We'll have a Black Friday sale like we did last year, which we sold almost 1,000 tickets on Black Friday.
That's awesome.
But if you just ask around, it was the best event in St. Johns County, and we will not shame you this year. So our female boxers, here's a warning. If you decide to fight for fire rescue, our females, like I told you last year, are going to come out and punch you in the nose. Okay.
100%.
First punch in the nose.
I 100%, when I was doing kickboxing, made a boy bleed in front of his mom because I hit him in the nose.
Our girls are amazing, and they are bad.